exciting subject for all of you. One of my favorite things in the new release in Cold Fusion 2025 beta, and that is spreadsheet and CSV processing. And boy, oh boy, is this going to be a technical and deep talk. I can't wait to see it. I have Nikhil Dubey here, who is going to be just deep diving into all manner of things in all of this. So without further ado, Nikhil, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And yeah, I mean, we should get started now. So, should I wait or? Yeah, already it's 10:31, so we shall get started now. Cool. So, hello, friends. A very good morning. I am Nikhil from Code Fusion Engineering team, and I have been working with this team for close to 8.5 years. The same team and same company, obviously. And over the years, I have made contributions to virtually all the products that the team has, be it the Code Fusion servers, the earlier CF Builder built on Eclipse platform, then we built version 1, I think in 2021. 22, I
Hey,
think we
Nikhil, I'm
released
sorry
it.
to interrupt you.
Then performance more.
Your audio and video are really jumpy. Can you stop your video and see if that helps us with a little bit of the jumpiness in here, because you're breaking up pretty badly right now. Okay, there we go.
Is it better now?
Yeah, go ahead and keep going, and I'll tell you if it's if we're still having issues. But sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. So over the years, I have made various contributions across all the products that the team has. Uh, yeah, I mentioned about VS Code extension before that. CF Builder contributed to various features in uh, the language as well, like dynamic switch case, then parallel programming, ifs, that is immediately invoked expressions, and then yeah, I worked on performance monitoring toolset version 1, and in the last release I worked services like AWS, SQS, SNS, and Azure Service Bus integration. In this release I have been working on spreadsheet revamp, uh, yeah, in this which is being released in alpha and now in beta as well. Apart from work, I like to read. I read mostly technical stuff, and I also follow politics and sports. So that is about me. Moving on to agenda. So, uh, firstly, I will be talking a little bit about spreadsheets in Code Fusion. If there is someone new who does not know what the spreadsheets, what kind of a spreadsheet capabilities that Code Fusion supports, then I will be talking a little bit about why did we need to do this revamp, and then we'll go to improvements, what all improvements have been done, and finally we'll be seeing demo as well. So this will be a technical deep dive session, and there will be code snippets executed, and will be some live coding as well. So I think tech enthusiasts will love this. So now a little bit about introduction to the spreadsheets in CodeFusion. So originally CodeFusion 9 introduced CF spreadsheet tag and some 35 functions, and CodeFusion 11 introduced another attribute auto size and 7 new functions. So overall, we have 42 functions in CodeFusion and CF spreadsheet tag that allow to read, write, update the sheet content, filtering rows, columns, then Then there are capabilities supported like merging cells, shifting rows or columns, formula related capabilities are there. Then you can set or get comments. Formatting also is supported on cell or column range. So this is a wide array of manipulation that the spreadsheet or Excel files can be done with using Code Fusion as of now. So why did we need to revamp this? This is the question, because it is already quite rich in terms of feature set that it supports. So I mean, with time, the requirements also evolve. So with more and more data, the requirements became such that we have to think about the revamp. So firstly, it is the memory constraint. So with large spreadsheets, with large Excel files, even for few megabytes like 2 MB, 5 MB, depending upon the amount of data that you are trying to process, read, or write, and the memory constraints of your hardware, the spreadsheet read or write or processing would throw out of memory errors frequently. So this was visible in the number of issues raised on various platforms like Stack Overflow. So some of the developers would think that this is a memory leak in Cold Fusion. That's why wherein people think that out of memory errors are happening because memory leak is there, but it was not because of this, but the fact that the underlying POI library would load entire workbook in the memory before starting any read or write or processing. So this was the original reason and not any memory leak. So number one reason. Then second reason was the CSV. So CSV is one of the most common formats for exchange of data or importing and exporting the data, migrating from one data source to other, or even data analysis, or onboarding the data as well. So if you go to Kaggle uh, and try to browse any data set, that would be, there is a good chance it would be in CSV. So CSV being such a heavily used format, despite that, Coefficient did not have any direct way to basically read or write CSV, or even process it. So there was no proper way for parsing it. You would do was some workaround like reading from file write function, then basically you would parse it line by line, and then try to use separator as a comma, and then parse the content in array. This is some kind of workaround that you would do, and it would involve a lot of boilerplate code, and it's against the Cold Fusion spirit of making hard things easy. So this was also visible in terms of the number of issues that were logged, that were seen in various forums. So another reason was, lacking features. So we lacked key features like adding hyperlinks, or for matter of data validation. So you cannot put data validation right now with Code Fusion. Even for clearing cells, this is one of the basic functionalities that was missing. And some of the functionalities related to print, like changing print orientation, or changing the layouts, or hiding rows or columns and inserting rows or column breaks. Those sort of things would not be possible with Cold Fusion. And even repeating rows, or even adding the images to header or footer. So these are the primary reasons why we thought of the revamp, and Cold Fusion 2025 will try to address all these shortcomings collectively. So we'll now move to improvements that we have done, and this is the first thing. This is the centerpiece of all the revamp improvements. So this is streaming spreadsheet. So the streaming allows you to basically uh, keep only few rows in the memory at any point in time you are doing this processing of Excel sheet. So this is in contrast with traditional spreadsheet wherein you would bring the entire sheet in the memory before starting the processing. So for this, the number of rows here will also be configurable. So instead of number of rows in memory, you would have only certain rows. For example, if that size is 4, the window size is 4, and you start reading the rows. Now you basically bring the 4 rows in the memory, and it will keep on accumulating in the rows. Then you try to bring in fifth row, and it will basically write the first row in the temporary file. Then next you start to bring the sixth row in memory, and then the second row will be flushed to a temporary file. So at any point in time during sheet processing, only 4 rows will be there in the memory, regardless of the size of the sheet, regardless of the number of rows in the sheet. So this is how streaming web spreadsheets will be getting rid of those out of memory errors. So let's take a look into the functions that we are introducing. So the number one function is streaming spreadsheet new. So basically this function will be useful when you try to create a new sheet and add large number of rows incrementally. So with this, you can generate a Excel sheet which is of which is not bound by the number of rows or the amount of data that you want to write to that sheet. So earlier with spreadsheet new method that was there, it was not possible. We are also uh, giving a parameter random access window size to control that number of rows that will be always be there in the memory. Then the second method is streaming spreadsheet read. This one basically allows you to read the data from Excel sheet into 3 different formats. They are HTML, query, or CSV. So this is in line with what is possible currently with the CF spreadsheet tag. And yeah, similar to the tag, row and column filtering is allowed using range of rows or range of columns. Okay, so but yeah, the tag approach is basically limited by size of the sheet. But yeah, this one is unbounded because of this destination file path option. So this destination file path option is provided in order to let you write that HTML or CSV to a file, because when if you are reading anything in memory, like be it any data structure, whether it's a string in HTML format or in the CSV format or it's a query object, all will have a limit to what amount of data that you can keep in memory. But if you are reading the CSV and just converting it to a file at the same time, then it will be unbounded. So it will allow you to basically transform a CSV data to an HTML table. Transform Excel into an HTML table or a CSV file uh, that is unbounded by the size of the sheet or the number of rows. Moving on, the next method, that is a streaming spreadsheet process. So this will basically allow, while you are reading the date row, you process the row during read itself. It will save you the second iteration for processing, and with ultra low memory consumption, this will basically allow the processing. So here in the screenshot, you can see I am defining a function wherein the odd rows I am trying to format with different struct, that is my format, and the even number of rows I am formatting with a different struct, that is second format. And then I am basically calling the streaming spreadsheet process method and passing this function. So this function will basically be called for every row in the Excel sheet. So the result looks like this. Here you can see in blue and red, which is the format that I had passed. So this processing will ultimately take long time if the number of rows is very high. So that is why we have provided an option async as well, which will basically lead to asynchronous processing of the rows in the sheet. So when you pass this async as true, it will return a cold fusion future instead of spreadsheet object. So this the cold fusion future is similar to, this is similar to what is returned in run async method, if you have known that, because it has been there for a while, run async. So the cold fusion future will return the spreadsheet when completed. So this is how the async option will work. We'll be all seeing this as well in the demo. Now, moving on to the next method, that is cleanup. So we have seen that, yeah, these streaming methods actually create temporary files. So which basically will be required to be cleaned up once the processing is done. That is why we have introduced this fourth method, streaming spreadsheet cleanup. So the object becomes unusable after you call this, because the temporary files are cleaned up. And uh, reason why we are leaving this to developers for cleaning these files is that because we do not know like where and how in the application you will be using the sheet object. So once you are done with that usage and written to the disk as well, then you can just responsibly clean this the temporary files. One temporary file per sheet will be created, and you need to you clean that up using this method. Simple as that. And if you fail to do so, then it might add up to your hard disk, and you might need to clean it up later on your own. So this is streaming for you. Moving on to the next section, that is support for CSV format, and within that we have three methods. So the first one is CSV read. So this one basically allows you to read the data from a CSV file into one of the 7 formats listed here. So each format has its own usage. So if you just want to print the data in CSV string format, you can just leverage the CSV string. If you want to do row by row processing, then you can use any of the 3 array formats available. So if CF first two basically are similar, CF array or Java array. CF array is more compliant with Cold Fusion data types and Cold Fusion APIs. Whereas if you have to return uh, the array of arrays to a Java application, then you might need Java array. Depending upon what kind of processing you want to do, then yeah, one thing is that, yeah, Java array is slightly better in terms of performance as well. Then you have array of struct, which is basically which will be returning struct for each of the rows, and that struct will contain keys as the column names, and values as values for that struct will be the values of all the columns for that particular row. Yeah. So then we have Excel and queries. So that, where basically for related to Excel, one use case would be that you want to use your CSV as a database. So you just keep convert it to a query result object, and then you do a QOQ. So you basically will query on that object to use it as a database. Then as basically, yeah, Excel is simple, like you want to convert your CSV to a basically spreadsheet object. So this one is XLSX. And yeah, seventh one is different from all of these. So this is a new type that we are introducing with CSV only. And reason why we introduced is that all the above six that we have mentioned, they will have limit to the memory size again. So because you are reading the data from CSV to memory, it will always be limited in terms of memory. So whether it's a string or array or query result or a spreadsheet object, it will always be limited by the size of sheet, by the amount of memory that you have got. But CSV record iterable will not be affected by that because it does not bring any data in memory. It basically is an iterable, and it will only bring the data in memory when you actually call the next method of that iterator. So it has got methods like next, has next, and yeah, close. So so you can basically iterate over that and keep on iterating over the records until it is finished. So yeah, and it also supports filtering of rows with optional UDF that it accepts. So this is CSV read. Moving on to CSV write, this does exactly opposite to what CSV read does. Basically, you have those seven type of objects in memory, and you want to write it into CSV into disk. So this is when CSV write will help you. Example use case for a query would be that you have the query result from your database, and you want to write it into a CSV file. So here in the screenshot you can see, like, I am selecting all the records from a database and then writing it into a CSV file using this CSV write method. And yeah, format equals to query I have passed. So essentially, what I'm doing is I'm migrating the data from a SQL data source to a CSV file. This is what CSV write will enable you to do. Similarly, you can do it from Excel, and yeah, you can do, if you have data from APIs, you can convert it into, you get the result into an array and then write it into CSV. So it will basically allow you to generate the CSV from different sources of data. Then CSV process is about processing the CSV during read itself row by row, and it will like streaming spreadsheet process, it will save the second iteration just for processing. So avoiding any memory constraint. And yeah, it accepts two methods. First is row processor, and other is row filter. So row filter will basically applied before any processing is done. So it will row filter will basically filter out the rows before reading itself, and on the filtered rows this row processor will be called. So you can basically pass any closure or any lambda in these two functions, and yeah, this will be done. And all the this row processor will be called on all the rows except the filtered rows. So the filter has to return a true or a false. So we'll be seeing all this in demo as well. Then uh, there are n number of configurations that all these methods support. I want to talk a little bit about those configurations because there are 17 of them, so huge amount of configurations. So as many of them are related to header. Header is nothing but an array of column names of that CSV. So whether you want to allow missing column names in the header, whether you want to put comments in your along with the header in the CSV generation, or basically read, you want to ignore that comment, right? And while writing the CSV, you want to generate some comments. Okay, then you want to allow the ignore you want to ignore the header case, because if let's say the some of the column names are in different case like lowercase or uppercase, then you want to ignore and yeah, treat that name as well as column name only. Then you want to skip header record or not. And yeah, then you want to what you want to do with nulls in your data. So if you have some data, array of array, let's say, and then you are having some nulls in that, yeah, undefined values in that, then while writing, what you want to do with those nulls? Do you want to convert them into some specific string, or you don't want to write them as blank string, or whatever you want to do with nulls? Similarly, quote characters or escape characters you can define. And yeah, record separator also you can change. Basically, if you want to keep it like BR, or any kind of character. We support multiple encoding, so if the default encoding is UTF-8, but if you have other encoding, then you can provide that encoding as well. Then you want to add trailing delimiters after each record or row. And trim is basically for what you want to do with spaces around your text in the cell, row, in the value for a column in row. So for each value, it will be trimming, then inserting in the data structure. So all these configurations allow you to efficiently perform uh, the commonly needed needed pre-processing with your CSV data. So these are the configurations that we support. Moving on to the next section, which is the cell property methods. So with Cold Fusion 2025, we are coming up with lot of methods, as pointed out by the slide, one of the slides earlier, that we had some missing functionalities as well. It was not only about the memory or the CSV. So the first method I want to show you is add data validation rule. So with this, you will be able to enforce restrictions on type or value of cell or range of cells. And you will be allowed to have five different types of validations, like integer, double, then list of values, then date, and text length. So if you want to put restriction on the length of text that is there in the cell, and there will be commonly used operators like greater than, less than. So all these are basically supported by Excel currently. So if you want to have this data validation rule put in place in the Excel that you generate, uh, right now you would need to use this UI that is provided by Microsoft Excel. Okay, and then this is how you do it. But with the new function, this is how you will be doing it. So you will be calling the spreadsheet add data validation rule. Along with the first parameter will be the spreadsheet, and the second one will be a struct. And in that struct, you need to pass validation type, then regions, like what regions you want to enforce that uh, validation on. So here I am enforcing that validation on column 1 and rows from 2 to 11. So, and then value operator, and then yeah, alert title means that, yeah, if that validation is failing, then what kind of error you want to be displayed. So the title is data validation failed, and the alert text is the number you have entered is invalid, and yeah, this message. So see how I am getting this result on the left hand side. So here I am on column 6. I am trying to put the value 89, and that is why I am getting this pop up saying the number you have entered is invalid. And yeah, even before I click. If I just before I enter, even if I just go and click on that cell, I will be getting this cell select title and cell select text. So yeah, and since the value is 89 and it must be greater than 94 as per the validation criteria put by me, this is why this error is there. So that's how you play with validation rules now. Then there are methods related to hyperlinks, which is another very important feature that we are giving this release. So you can basically set hyperlinks for cell or get that hyperlink, and get hyperlinks for entire sheet as well. And with the hyperlinks are not only for web links but also for the document links as well. So this is how you do it. You provide the row, column, and type of that hyperlink and the address. Then there are methods for clearing the values in the cell. I mean, not only values, but all the formatting options, everything is cleared. And yeah, that can be called for range of cells as well. Then earlier we had a method for setting the value at a cell. Now we have it for range of cells as well. Then you can get cell type and then cell format, which will return a struct which with values like bottom color, top color, and basically background color. So I mean, whatever formatting options are there in that cell. So moving on to the next section, which is sheet property methods. So there are I think around 30 plus methods just for sheet property. So I mean, these are some of the methods. I mean, most of them, I think some of them are quite a lot of them are related to printing layout. So you can basically set the print orientation to landscape or portrait, and then you can with add print grid lines and remove print grid lines. You can basically toggle between the visibility of the grid lines, so whether the grid lines will be available during printing. Then you can put strategically whatever breaks you want to put on rows or columns, so that while during printing only those number of rows will be there on one page, and then it will start from the next page. Similarly, fit to page optimizes how the uh, columns would and rows will be fitting into one single page. So you can specify the page width and page height on that. Earlier you would do all this using only UI. And yeah, add header image and footer image methods are there, which will basically allow you to put your branding images inside the uh, printed sheets. Yeah, and then there are methods for repeating rows and columns. So sometimes you for readability you want certain rows or certain columns to be printed on every page, especially the header row or the serial number column. So you want to print on each page. So for that, this kind of methods would be useful. Then if you have some sensitive data or unwanted data, you can basically hide it using set row hidden or set column hidden methods. Similarly, you can get the format of the sheet, because now there are three different formats: the earlier XLS, and then XLSX, that is there for XML sheets, and then streaming sheets. This is a new format. You can get the format as well. And then remove you can now remove the sheet by number. So there are some examples in the screenshot as well how to use these methods, but we'll be seeing some of these in demo as well. Then yeah, for logical grouping of rows and columns, that will basically improve the sheet navigation if you have large number of rows or or heavy number of columns as well. So for navigation or or presentation perspective, this is important. Then yeah, renaming sheet is another thing. And yeah, sometimes sheet opens up too slowly on the startup. So this flag, there is a flag force formula recalculation, which basically uh, specifies like whether to recalculate the formulas during startup. So this one is also important. So with this, I think we are end to the slides, and now we will be pushing towards demo. So before that, any questions? I would say yeah, or should I move to demo? Yeah, this
Go
thank
ahead
you.
and
I
move
think
to the
set form.
demo.
I understand. Yeah, sure. So I will now move to demo. Uh, cool. So simple. The taxi trips that have been taken in the Chicago city. So this is from Kaggle, and if you see, these are the columns: trip ID, taxi ID, then trip miles, fare. Within fare, it is having a breakup as well, like tips, tolls, extras, and trip total. So this is the total trip fare, and then payment type, company. Then there are locations related to pickup and drop off. So this is the real data set that I have downloaded from Kaggle, and this is around 357 MB, and it's a CSV document. Okay, so 350 plus MB data, and now I will be showcasing how I am using this. So I have prepared an application wherein, so before that, let's just try to open this and showcase how the CSV looks like. So let me showcase this. So this is how it looks like. It is having some IDs for trip I and then taxi, and yeah, for each row it is having these fields. So this is how it looks like, and it is having some 865,000 rows. So 865,000 rows. This is 357 MB data, and yeah. So now uh, I have this CFM, which is basically calculate the cash trips out of those 865 key trips. So if I just click on this and allow it to process the data, I'm just waiting. So it took around some 9 seconds, or and it has basically processed all the rows, and within the rows it has processed this. I think some 19 million entries, or 20 million, close to 20 million entries, and it has identified I have got 253,000. Yeah, 253,000 trips I am having cash paid. So this is how you deals with such a large data set, 350 plus 7 MB, and it was able to do so to do this processing in nearly 9 seconds. And if you probably try again, it will probably be even faster. But yeah, regardless, now let us see the CFM. So I would just want to showcase this. Here I'm using, basically, firstly I'm initializing the variables like values processed, row processed, cache payment. Then I'm just using CSV process, method wherein I am passing this row processor. So this row processor will be called against every row, and it will be increasing rows to count, then values processed will be updated, and I will be finding if there is cache in that array. And yeah, uh, I will be updating the counter. So this is how I'm counting the cache trips. So isn't that wonderful? Well, we'll now move to the next CFM, which is basically to get high value cache trips. So I am defining high value cache trips as whatever trips have taken the trip total fare to be $300 or above. So now I will click on this and wait for the result. So this is under 5 seconds if you see. So out of all the 865K rows, only 139 trips are there for which I mean, yeah, fare is $300 or above. So this is, I think, I will just crash trips above 300. So this is the CFM. So herein, I'm just filtering out the rows first, like whether so I'm not only so the row processor is the same as the previous one, and I have just provided an additional parameter which is row filter, which will basically return true for the trips that are there for which have cash payment, I mean which have $300 or above as the trip total, which basically trip total is the 15th column. So for those I will be returning true. So the filter is applied before the processor. That's what I want to show, and this is why, I mean, this time entries processed is also 5152 only. So only 5152 entries were there for which $300 or above is there, and within those also cash payment is only for 139. So this is how we process such a huge data set in under 5 seconds. Okay, so then we will move to the next, which is get company wise breakup for all the high value trips. So the high value trips we have seen, but now we'll be seeing across all the high value trips, not just for cash. And for that I want to see the company wise breakup. So I'll be clicking on that and expecting the result. So this is again in under 6 seconds. So this is how I'm getting the result as a query object, and I'm seeing the query also being executed. Okay, so this is how the result is like. There are around I mean there were some 130 this is the company wise breakup. This is the cab company and the number of trips completed by each of them, which are above $300. So let us see the code. So within the code, uh, all trips above $300. Yeah, I think this one. So in this, I am firstly filtering out the rows that are there with $300 or above as the total fare, and firstly reading them to a query object using this format I've provided as output format is query here, and that query object I'm using QOQ basically. So I'm just querying that query object, and I think this is the default, and based on the URL dot query this variable, I'm just setting this query string to be this. So if you see the application, I am passing this the query equals to 1. Okay, and When I clicked, a query equals to 1 was passed and this query string was set. And this is how I am using the QOQ to retrieve the result. So basically what I'm doing is I'm transforming the CSV to act like a database. I'm reading this entire the CSV filtered by this high value trips. So this is a filtered database, you can say, and then I'm just using the QOQ. So this is one of the applications wherein you would like to use this output format equals to query. So we'll now move on to the next. This is to rewrite the dataset in CSV after changing the delimiters. So I have the CSV already, and I will try to read the CSV and then rewrite it. So this might take some time because probably I'm trying to do it on entire data set. So yeah, no, not this one. I think it is trying to, let me see what it is trying to do. So yeah, this is all trips csv delim change.cfm. So this is the cfm. So basically it is trying to read entire file, entire 357 MB of data into this array of struct format, and it is basically trying to write that again into CSV after changing the delimiter and also turning the trailing delimiter true false. So these flags are also being used. Note that with array of struct, you need to pass the header, otherwise you need not pass the header. So, so yeah, see, it took around 1 minute to process, to basically read the entire CSV, this 357 MB CSV, and yeah, this CSV we read, and we just now wrote this back. So this is the change CSV with 355 MB of data, and we were able to do this in 60 seconds. If I open this CSV for you, this is how it looks like. So instead of comma, we have inserted pipe as the delimiter, and it is also having trailing delimiter as well as we had specified. So this is how powerful this CSV read and write combination can be. You can do whatever you want to with CSV, basically trailing delimiters, or you could have changed the escape character, or you can basically try to convert null values. So you can play around with null values as well. Uh, so if I just dump the iterable, but yeah, I think this will be too much to do because it will again take 1 minute, but I just wanted to try to dump as well to show you how big it is. It will not dump entire thing probably, because it will only dump few rows, then after that it will not. But yeah, this is about delimiter. Probably I should have tried with different data type probably, then it would be at least somehow better. Yeah, so this is how it is dumping the array. This is how array of struct looks like. For each of the row, oh, I think yeah, it is. For each of the row, it is having a struct, and within that struct, keys are the column names, and the values are this. So if you can see here, empty strings are there where there is no value. So this is how you deal with array of struct, and you can use any format. Just if you are, but I mean whatever suits you. So we'll now. It is actually still calculating the result. It has started dumping, but yeah, this is huge, so it might take some time. It will not dump the full thing. It will only dump the top 10,000 or nine rows. that's for sure. But yeah, it is still calculating, and I think it will take some 1 minute or so. So we are waiting to for it to be completed. Till then, let me show you another way. I think, yeah, this one. So here, I mean, I'm trying to transform this high value trips to an Excel. So basically, I'm reading the file, the CSV, and I'm basically doing a lot of things in this. Not only transforming it to an Excel, but I'm trying to showcase many spreadsheet operations also in this. So basically, you have the trips. You extract uh, the CSV using this filter. I am able to extract the high value trips to a spreadsheet object, and then I am doing multiple things with this spreadsheet object. So I want to print I'm changing the print layout. So I'm setting the print orientation as landscape. Then I am basically setting the print repeating rows also, and setting the column break. So doing a lot of things, and you will see it happening. So let me just go back and run this. So I will now write all the high value trips to Excel. So this should not take a lot of time because I'm writing only for partial number of rows, not the entire data set. So it took around 8600 milliseconds, and it generated Excel, this one, yeah, this one, 11:21 p.m. So it generated this Excel for me, and if I open this, this is the Excel it has generated for me. So if you see here, I try to have the print preview, then you will realize a lot of things. So there is a footer image added in every page that it is printing on. So this is happening because we had set this footer image here. This spreadsheet set footer image on line number 38. So we have you can, with this method, you can basically pass on the spreadsheet object, then image. So you can basically pass the image path, or you can pass the CF image object as well. And if you pass the path, then you need not pass the image type. Otherwise, if you are passing the object, CF image object, then you might need to pass the type like PNG or JPEG or whatever is there. Then alignment need to be right or center or left. So this is how the footer image is being generated. If I change it to center, then it will probably generate this and center. Okay, then you see in the first only one row is there. First page, only one row is there. This is because we have set the row breaks. So if you see, I am iterating here, I equals to 1 and less than equals to rows. I'm trying to keep only 20 rows in one particular page, and every 20 rows it will break the page and start with the next page. So I should have started with 20 only. Okay, and then so that first page will have at least 20. Okay, then you see the print orientation as landscape because I have set it as landscape. And then you have repeating rows, that is one. So I have asked row 1 to be repeated. So I mean, first few pages you see only one column because the first column trip ID is that huge. And yeah, I've provided. Sorry, I have set the column break as well. So that is also one of the reason. Then I have all the other columns as well. So this is how the printing. But yeah, if I just do this set fit to page, then it will try to fit all the all the width, so it will try to fit all the columns in 2 pages, and then rows also in 10 pages. So let me just rerun it after this set fit to page, and let me just close this and try to run this CFM again. So yeah, we'll regenerate the Excel sheet. So this one took around 6 seconds again. And if I open this Excel, so this is again freshly generated 11:25 p.m. And yeah, let me try to see the print orientation. So this is how it is. So it was asked to fit all the columns in maximum 2 pages. So this is how it is happening. So all the columns, and I think earlier it was taking some 50 plus pages. Now it is being fit to 6. We had asked it maximum to take 10 pages. So it has fit all the rows within 6 pages itself. So it has compressed and fit into page. So now this is how you work with the sheets that have large number of rows and columns, and you want to print it. So all the options that are there in UI, we have right to provide in the API as well. Then we are also doing some data validation here. So I'm just trying to have the data validation on column number 15, which is trips total, and I'm asking it to have a value greater than -1, which means that you have to enter a positive number. So this validation should be there in row in all the rows starting from 2 to 223, and column from 15. So basically, let me just go to Excel. So this is the 15th column, and you see this is a trip total column, and from row 2, yeah, for row 1 is this header only, so that's why I have put from row 2, and then I have went up to 223. So last row I have skipped just intentionally. So here if I provide -1, this will be acceptable. But here you see, even during click I will see this as cell text. So because I have specified in in row 224, I'm not seeing any alert, but here I'm seeing the alert, and all the columns I will see the alert because I have put this alert. Enter a number and then make sure you enter a positive integer. So here this is being shown, and if I try to make it a negative value like -4, then I will see data validation failed, this pop up, because I have asked specifically this. So that's the expected behavior. So this is the data validation that you can add programmatically now. Earlier you would used to probably go to this data tab for each sheet, and then you would need to go to validation and add these sort of validations. Now it is possible through this method. Well, moving on, the ability to set the hyperlinks. So this is another application. So with with this, you see there are a lot of latitudes and longitudes. So basically, for each trip, I am having some drop off and pick up locations. So here I'm like having this latitude and longitude as well. So I just put this latitude and longitude in Google Maps. So this is the location that I got. So basically it is here, I think some around Chicago airport. So this is one of the pickup locations that was very popular in this sheet. So I just went there and tried to copy the link. Okay, so with this, I probably get the link from here in the Google Maps, and then I try to set this address here. Okay, and row number 17, column 20. So row 17 and column 20. So this is how this link will work, because I have set it. So this is asking me to take to that particular location, and it will actually take to me to that Chicago airport location only. So this is how beautifully it works. Yeah, you can put any links, a web link or even a document link. You can link a document so also. So you can even link to some other sheet in the same document as well. So this is how you want to put. I just wanted to showcase this from this example wherein basically you have some latitudes and longitudes. So the location is there and you want to put that. So this basically suits this a data analysis part. So you want to link for that location. So if you have the links for all the locations, you can link it in the spreadsheet using this method. And yeah, so this is another thing. I think now I think we I have shown whatever was there in this, basically layout and all. So you can do all the methods. I think some 32 methods are there for this sheet properties, and then some 8 methods I think for cell properties. And there are a lot of methods that you want to play with. So with this, we'll move to the next one. So now the next use case is that you want to read the high value trips Excel that we have generated and delete one column and write all the high value trips to CSV. So now we have seen that we can go from a CSV and generate an Excel after processing or filtering. Now we will see that yeah, we are reading this Excel and we'll try to delete one column and generate a high value trips for CSV. So this is how long it takes. It's 5.5 seconds. So let me open that. This is the reverse of what we did previously. So this is I think the one, or let me just go to that. So yeah, read the high value trips Excel. This one is there. So this is the CFM, modify back to CFM. So yeah, this is how you do it. Basically you have the Excel, so you read it from the Excel. I don't know, I think this one is different. uh, is it the same? Read the high value trips Excel, delete one column, and yeah. So basically you have an Excel. So basically you are trying to read the CSV, convert it to a sheet, and then deleting a column, and then again writing it to CSV. So this time we are writing it to CSV. Yes. So so this is how. So we are reading the CSV, converted into Excel, and then deleting from Excel. So not we are not reading the Excel that we generated. We are reading the CSV only. So this is how I got confused. So the reading the CSV into an Excel, and then yeah, simply deleting the column and writing the CSV. So this is the CSV, CS modified dot CSV I want to show uh, with this. So this you can see the second column has been deleted. The trip ID is there, but taxi ID is not there in the original data set or even the Excel sheet. The You will see the trip ID as well as the taxi ID. Okay, but in this CSV, the taxi ID is gone because we have deleted one column. So we read from CSV, two spreadsheets, then applied some spreadsheet functions, and then saved it back to another CSV. This is what we tried to achieve, and we were successful. Then we will move on to our next use case. Yeah, we just not save it. So now I think we will be writing full 357 MB CSV to Excel. Yeah. So we are trying to convert the entire CSV to Excel. This is another use case. So basically all trips, no, I think, let me go to this. It will take some time, 2 minutes. This is what, so this is like, right, full 357 MB Excel CSV to Excel. So this is going to take 2 minutes. So till then we just see the code. So this is a CSV wherein I'm trying to basically initialize this streaming spreadsheet, because yeah, it's a large spreadsheet, CSV, so the spreadsheet will also be large. So firstly I'm basically initializing the streaming spreadsheet, then I'm doing the CSV process method where I'm processing the uh, row processor. So for each row, this it will be basically added to the sheet, the streaming sheet. Filter, I'm doing nothing. I'm just passing it true, return true always. So it will return true for all the rows. So that is why all the rows will be for all the rows the processor will be called. And delimiter configuration also, I'm not passing anything. Even I can just remove all these, then also it will work, because there are these parameters are optional, the filter configuration as well as the formatting parameters. So all these are optional. So even without these, it would work. So I, I'm not sure. Yeah, but it is still executing, but I think I should have the older version. Probably, yeah. Here it should have, yeah. I think this one is right now being generated. See, the size being increased. So now 130 MB is there, then 172 MB. So it is being written. Yeah. So this is the complete file, and we saw it being done in around 2 minutes, so 126 seconds almost. And we saw the file being written as well. So this is the complete Excel that has been generated. So this using the streaming sheets as well as CSV read. So CSV process. So we actually processed every row of those 865K rows, and we wrote it to a streaming sheet without any memory issues. We were able to convert 357 MB document of CSV to 206 MB Excel. If you open this Excel, let me try to open that. It's a huge Excel, so even Microsoft Excel UI will take some time. So it is around 865K rows. So yeah, you see here, these are the rows and the values. This is how the Excel is generated. So maybe there was some problem with these timestamps, so that's why it is showing invalid date in Excel. But yeah, the values are there. I think we have done this. Now we will move to the next part. So now that we have written 357 MB document to Excel, now there are a couple of more use cases wherein like it takes hell lot of time. I mean, this, if you want to convert this 357 MB of CSV into an HTML table, it will take complete 4 minutes to do so. So I've just clicked on it. It will take some time. So, but in that during that time, I can show you the one that I had already generated today. So this is around 1.1 gigabyte of HTML that was generated for this particular CSV. So if I show you the code, this is the code. It would be simple one, very simple. I'm just using this streaming spreadsheet read. So basically what I'm doing is I'm not using any CSV method here. Basically this one is reading, I think this is incorrect. Streaming spreadsheet and doing the async processing. Not I don't think it is doing async processing. But yeah, it is using streaming method, and then format equals to HTML I've provided, and destination file path is also one parameter. So it will not basically try to read the HTML string into memory, but instead it will basically uh, keep on writing it to a file. And then this is the file path that I have provided. So this is the way you use this parameter destination file path, wherein you have huge string that would be generated, because earlier with CF spreadsheet tag, the HTML generated would be in memory completely, or the CSV generated would be in memory. But here with this file, it will be basically written to file, and that is how you can generate huge amount of CSV, heavy CSVs or heavy HTML from the Excel sheets that you have got. So I used the Excel that was generated using the CSV. So firstly, I generated the Excel from this CSV, and then from Excel I generated the HTML. So if you try to open this HTML using Visual Studio, it will not open. So because this is gigabyte, above 1 gigabyte, it cannot open. So the VS Code cannot open this. Uh, but yeah, I know that yeah, browser can. So if I open, browser will try to open, but yeah, it is having all the data as table, lines of that table, being drawn.
Nikhil, hey buddy, your audio and share are really off right now. Is there something you can close on your machine to make it actually work? Because we can't hear you and we're just seeing a frozen screen right now. I'm not even sure if you can hear me. Hmm. Oh. Looks like Nikhil's Mac just, yeah. Yeah, it looks like maybe Nikhil's attempt to render that spreadsheet in the back. Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think he just massively ran out of memory and it just killed his machine. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, the dangers of processing large CSV files. So we're gonna wait for him to come back come back up here. Oh yeah, no, believe me, I have been there. And of course, I just got signed out of the Adobe Slack too. Hold on, he's probably in there going, "What happened? Let me in." Come on. Let's see. Sorry about that, folks. We are already quite over quantum computers. That'd be cool. Yeah, Charlie. I think potentially that may be the problem, that VS Code just decided to try to run him out of memory, and he's got a pretty powerful machine, but I think there's only so much that it can handle when you're talking a big file like that. I've definitely had VS Code just completely burn down my machine as well. All right, well, we're going to wait for him to come back on here, but if he doesn't, Ryan had a question about the methods being available as member functions in order to use the object ones to shorten the amount of code. Essentially, Ryan, it sounds like you're asking whether we can do chaining on these methods. My understanding is I don't think so. I don't think the type of chaining that you described is currently in there, but we'd love to see an enhancement request. So if you're part of the beta, if you could please add an enhancement request to open those up to be chainable, that would be fantastic. The way you do that is, if you're not in the beta, please sign up on the beta link below. And on the main page of the pre-release, there's a button called Request Feedback. You can add an enhancement request and put that right in there. So that's my understanding anyway. I haven't necessarily tried it, but I don't think that's available yet right now. Okay. Gosh, I hope he didn't just like, I could just imagine his machine with smoke coming out of it. Yeah, and we've not been consistent. That's a good point, Charlie. It's more about using member functions on an object versus using CFML like BIFs. But yeah, I think we've been a little inconsistent in places. So I would like to find those places that we are inconsistent and kind of fill in those gaps. It's much nicer DX if everything just works the way that you assume it's going to work. So, all right. Let me just, I'm going to check on Slack if he's come back here. Yeah, he's not even on Slack, so I think his machine might have just given up the ghost. Oh no. All right. Well, listen, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Apologies for the technical difficulties there at the end. Hopefully everyone got a ton of useful information out. I want to thank Nikhil. If he was here, I would love to thank him. Ryan says, I did sign up. Thank you. Definitely would be helpful because I can see a lot of rows, these spreadsheet methods being utilized. Yeah, no, that's totally true. And it would be a definite improvement to DX to have that be usable in the way that you describe. So please add that ER. That would be fantastic. I want to thank all of you for coming and listening. Apologies for the length of time and the technical difficulties, but hopefully you got a lot of value out of this. This recording will be available both on the CFML Slack as well as from the beta forums for rewatch. If you want to go back and look through all the code samples and all that good stuff, hopefully maybe we can actually get Nikhil to share some code samples as well. Perhaps we can get those posted onto the forums also. I'm going to stick around for a little bit here. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And I will be back in a few seconds.